Hey, HR friends, welcome back. So we're starting a new emotional sequence. This is the 2-2 emotional 6.5 day sequence. Here it is from start to end. There's the 6.5 day sequence. These are the electromagnetics. We're going to talk about that first. This is day one. This white rectangle refers to the 24-hour period or day one. This is what we're going to be talking about here. Now, just 12 hours ago, we were showing you what this looked like in the 2-3, and it was reversed from this. In the 2-3 at the end, the blue was elevated, the first person polarity points were elevated, and these were pretty much flattened out, the third person, and now it's opposite. So that right there is helping you understand that the 2-2, this is a third person perspective. It's got an even number behind it. If there's an odd number in the second position, then we know it's a first person. If it's an even number, it's a third person. When it's a third person, it's testing third person. So what's happening here is it's elevating our defenses. So this is the hurdle. This is the obstacle that this space-time experience creates for us. It's not that we just have to try to balance our perspectives. It's also trying to prod and push and poke and agitate us so that it's not easy for us to balance our perspectives. So during this 2-2 emotional, which is a third person perspective, imagine that you're going to be seeing all kinds of things on the news, all kinds of things on your social media feed that are going to be irritating you because, well, it's what happens here. We all end up arguing over our different perspectives, our philosophical beliefs, and instead of just learning about each other and understanding what would be best and how we can all cooperate together, our defensive system of control convinces us we should argue and make a mess of this. Let's not do that. Now that we know how this works, really what we want to do is we just want to concentrate on what the objective is and not let these unseen agitation or these polarity points stop us from it. Now, please see, this is the first 24 hours. And don't you forget that the tide has just changed direction. So at the end of the 2-3, we hit high tide. And then as this switches, we're at slack tide. And now it's going to start moving this direction in the reverse direction. Okay. And when this reverses, it's just different. It's different than what we've been doing for the last 6.5 days. So this little jet lag experience where our bodies have to kind of acclimate to what's going to happen here, don't get frustrated. But that just puts one more element on top of this that makes it a little bit harder, right? Because not only do we have to stay focused and concentrate, but I promise you, our bodies are going to be a little bit off. It's going to feel a little off kilter. So really, really stay balanced and focused the best you can. And if you don't know how to get out of the situation, just take a break. Say, hey, I can't deal with this right now. Let me come back when I'm cool, calm, and collective. But right now, I can't do that. That's always an option. Always an option. All right. So high alert here for this 24-hour period of time. And then you can even see when we get into day 2 and 3, this doesn't stop. So really, you really want to set the tone now. You really want to get things in control here because if you're not noticing, in the 2-3 at the end of it, when we saw the elevation and I said, "You're gonna start to see the news start to pop up. You're gonna see weather start to really get a little bit more noticeable." Those things are happening. The more people that we can show what's going on here, the more people we can start to bring back to a calmer state, better it's gonna get for all of us. That's why you wanna tell people about this forecast is because what this is doing is it's forecasting when we're very likely to fight and argue because of these unseen agitations. Okay, one last thing to talk about here in this 24-hour section before we get down and look at some objective here is this little peak right here. Just be cautious of that because we've already got a lot going on here, and this is going to pop up in first person, and you can see that this brings us up to a level 7 during this 24-hour exchange here. So just be aware of that. Now, for the most part, after we get through this 24 hours, this really flattens out in the first person. We'll talk more about that in the future days here. All right, so let's just briefly talk about what we're seeing here in objective, this upcoming 6.5 day sequence. So the good news is if you were having right upper quadrant dysfunction, this one kind of lays out here. You see how it stays kind of at a 2 or below. There's a couple times it pops up into a 3, but as far as upper right quadrant goes, if you've been hurting up there, you're going to get a little bit of a break for the 6.5 days. Okay. Now, the other three quadrants, not so much. You can see left upper quadrant is probably getting tested the heaviest and the longest out of all of them, but both the lower quadrants are right behind it, right there with it. So When we're talking about objective, in space-time reality, there are only 8 things that we really have to learn, but it's these polarity points that really make it hard for us to do this. This is what's tricking us, this is what's activating our defenses, and then once our defenses are activated, it's real hard to get along with all these different perspectives. And when we're looking at these perspectives, these are metaphorical perspectives. So we're all born either metaphorical sons or daughters, and we're all going to mature into metaphorical mothers and fathers. And what you want to do here is you want to look at every person in your life and you want to say, well, which one are they? Are they more mature or are they less mature? If they're less mature, they're these two. If they're more mature, they're starting to become these two. And then how do I talk with them? How do I get along with them? Is it easier to talk with any one of these four? Then if it is, you need to start developing how you're going to talk to the other relationships. Like for me in practice, it was super easy for me to talk to maturing women about how to take care of their bodies. It was not so easy for me to talk to maturing males about how to take care of their bodies. Like in my practice, women were very in tune with listening and understanding what they could do. And when you try to give that same information to men, they'd be like, "What do you mean? I feel fine. I don't need anything." So all I'm getting at here is every relationship, and specifically when you're going in between genders, to get to the same level of understanding and to have the same depth in relationship, you're not going to be able to take the same approach. Every relationship demands a different approach, which demands your attention to figure out how to connect with them, how to communicate with them efficiently, and then how to cooperate with them, and that's extremely hard to do that and throw these polarity points in, and you see, like, aging and disease and death are hard to escape, okay? So once you figure out how to talk to all these different perspectives, then you need to figure out, well, how do I talk to them about balancing these four states right here? Because if you're not spending equal amounts in your routine every day thinking about how you're going to communicate with these different kinds of people and how you're going to communicate with them about how you're going to balance these four perspectives, well, then you're out of balance. And the more you're not doing that, so if you're only focusing on individual and family, and you're only focusing in maybe on son and father or daughter and son relationships, well, then every time these other relationships are testing you, that means that you're experiencing destructive interference. These are the frequencies, and this is the amount of frequencies that are testing us within the simulated experience to see how much we're learning, how balanced we're becoming, and if we're capable overcoming these unseen agitations. It's that simple. And if some part of your body hurts, that's just biofeedback. That is literally your body telling you which relationships you're not doing so well at, which ones you need to refine, which ones you need to invest more in. And once you start to document when you hurt, what hurts, or you start to document when things go a little sideways and it's not so pleasant for you, we can help you. You just need to know the times that that happens, and then we can help you create a future routine that will ensure that when these tests come again, it's not gonna be the same old sad story where we suffer more and we accelerate everything we don't want. It's gonna be a different story with a happy ending, the one where things get better, we feel better, we get along with the people around us better. That makes everything better, including our health. All right, that's enough about that. Now let's get down here and let's talk about the 24-hour guide. So in this 24 hours, it's all about these electromagnetic agitations. Now, it is worth noting that the first person agitations are pretty low here, at least in the first 12 hours. But at the end of the first 12 hours and the beginning of the next 12-hour sequence, you can see there's a little bit of an upkick here. Now, what you'd want to do, and these are the 24 time offsets. We've aligned the times up here depending on what time offset it is. You come down here, you find your time offset. I'm -4, that's Eastern time zone. I'd snapshot this. Now these times are aligned with these peaks. That's how easy that is. This is pretty simple stuff here. You need to be on red alert, meaning this is high alert. It's very likely that there's going to be all kinds of stuff going on around us at the larger level and also some stuff going on here. Now, let's shift gears. We're going to talk about alignments. There's a lot of alignments. And before we kind of snipe in here and look at each one individually, just let's look at the colors. You can see there's lots of low back stuff here, lots of lower quadrants. So we've got reds, oranges, red, orange, orange. We've only got one alignment that's going to test the upper quadrants. All right. So let's start over here and we're going to work our way this way. This first one's an EE we're going to talk about. It's an hour and a half, 1.5 hours. And this is a 6.5 day frequency. This is a 3.5 hour frequency, relatively strong. If you have a hit here, you're going to feel it in your left lower quadrant. Make sure you document that, document the times. It's going to make a difference depending on when the time is. Use our software on our site to completely understand the relationship imbalance that you'd want to expand on. Okay, let's keep moving here. So the next one we're going to talk about is this MP. This is again, this is a space alignment. It's a blue one. Here it is. This is going to test right and left lower quadrant. Now, between these two, the M is a 7.5 day frequency. The P is a 12-hour frequency during this long alignment. It's right here, and it's pretty strong. This 3 hours, much more likely you're going to feel it on the right side. It is possible on the left. Again, document if you have anything. All right, let's keep moving here. So now we've got the ME we're going to check out. That's this guy right here. Okay, that's in 1.5 hours. It's way up here. So this is starting to be a higher strength. The higher they are on the chart, the stronger they are. The lower they are down here, they're not quite as strong. That has to do with the timing of the frequencies. This one is 1.5 hours, so expect left lower quadrant during this time. Now, this is kind of a little sneaky one here because this one is sitting right on top of this one. This is 3.25 hours on the time side. This is going to test right lower quadrant. Capital M, that's a year frequency. Little e, that's a 3.5 hour frequency. It's going to be hard to discern the difference because these are all laying right on top of each other. So imagine the time bar is going to come through here and you're going to get three strong tests, all testing this lower quadrant all at one time. So this is why it's so important that you document the times that you feel it and where you feel it in your body, because that's how we're going to be able to dial in and know which one of these it was and where we want to start expanding your routine right out of the gate. Okay. All right. So let's keep moving here. The last one we're going to talk about is this PE. It's this guy right here. Space alignment or this time alignment. My bad. It's a 2 hour alignment. This is testing upper quadrant stuff. It's the only upper quadrant one, and it's going to happen right at the end of this 24-hour sequence. Now, it's not super strong, but definitely because yellows and greens are tougher colors. Why do I say that? Because maturing perspectives demand that we take a bigger approach and that we're not only trying to balance our own perspective, but we're trying to mentor other people to balance theirs. That's what the green and the gold mean, or the green and the yellow. That means you're becoming a mentor. It means that you've started to understand how important balance is, and now you're starting to understand how to talk to all the different perspectives, whether son, daughter, mother, father, in order to help people want to balance with you. That's a tough one, no doubt about it. All right, so before we talk about this, let's quick go over where the macro positions are because this is super helpful. So if we just look at the left side of the body and we count these up, there's 4 up here, there's 3 down here, so that's 7 on the left side versus 3 macros on the right side of the body. So there's definitely going to be a little bit of an offset or a little bit of an unbalanced testing sequence here where left side, at least for the strongest frequencies, you might feel a little bit stiffer on the left side, or you might notice left-sided stuff more than, say, right-sided stuff. Now, remember up here, we got some strong alignments happening on the left, but we also have some alignments that are affecting the right. And this is a pretty strong frequency. This is the capital M is the strongest, and this is the second strongest frequency. So right side is still in play, but because there's so many more influences that are going to be adding to it on the left, if I'm in practice, I'm still expecting to see more left-sided stuff than right-sided stuff. Also, left upper extremity, much heavily tested. I mean, think about this. A day ago, this had nothing in it, and now it's got 4 things parked in it. So don't be surprised if left upper quadrant's a little bit out of balance tomorrow. The last thing we're going to mention yesterday was the Pulse nightclub mass shooting 8-year anniversary. So I went 8 years back to show you what the electromagnetics at that time are. Check this out. That's an eye-opening one there. And then we've got these have been up now for a few days. This was a 3 alarm fire in Miami, the shark bites, the Teton Pass failure, and then this is a cool one. Make sure you check that out. When you get our technology, it's free. You download this right from our website. You pop in your information. It'll tell you when your healing phases are. And the first thing I'd advise you to do is start scheduling downtime when your body is in that healing phase. All right, that's how we're ending today. We'll see you tomorrow.